Check out this video. Ryan Shazier posted it on Instagram. He's doing box jumps. Watch it. Incredible to see how far he's come over the last 16 months. That's no small feat. It's about 3 feet there. That is hard to do if you didn't basically break your back, much less what he's doing. Unbelievable recovery process he's going through.
Yeah, that's unbelievable to see him be able to bounce back and to being able to do that after what we saw in that night game against the Cincinnati Bengals. Like that's really impressive. Really happy for Ryan Shazier that he's able to have some functionality based on what happened to him a couple of years ago. But you know, all of that being said, I don't know if I want to see Ryan Shazier back on the football field. I know that's his dream, but I don't know about all that.
We showed a video. I remember it was presented as an uplifting video of him walking across the draft stage, and that video made me sad because I know it was nice that he could walk, but it was seeing him as a football player and then barely able to walk. This is amazing. This is real progress, real recovery to at least being able to lead a normal life.
Yes.
You know,
that to me is the big thing.
Absolutely.
To me, it's fairly gut-wrenching because I watched this kid play in high school. We recruited him out of Fort Lauderdale to play at Ohio State. People said he'd be undersized. He was amazing. All-American at Ohio State, high draft pick with the Steelers, going on to be one of the best linebackers, and to see him go down out there doing something that you know you love. When I met him, he was just a kid. And now he's a guy struggling to try to get his health. So I know it's inspirational. Keep going, bro. Keep pushing yourself because, man, this is what people need to see. People got bad news in their life, don't have good things going on. Realize, man, you could be worse. The man with no shoes complained until he saw the man with no feet. So Ryan Shazier, man, I hope he keeps being an inspiration to millions of people out there because we need it.
Well said, Sing. All right, sticking with the Steelers, Antonio Brown and Juju Smith-Schester exchanged some barbs yesterday. It all started when AB responded to a Steelers fan who tweeted that Juju was the MVP. Brown sniped back, saying, "Boy fumbled the whole postseason in the biggest game of the year. Everyone went blind, too busy making guys famous, not enough reality these days." By the way, check the list. Juju responded with, "All I ever did was show that man love and respect from the moment I got to the league. I was genuinely happy for him, too, when he got traded to Oakland with a big contract, and now he takes shots at me on social media." Juju added, "Crazy how big that ego got to be to take shots at people who show you love," shaking my head. Kenny, what was your reaction to the back and forth by these two?
First of all, I thought Juju Smith-Schuster had the ultimate mic drop when he said, "You don't argue with fools from a distance. People can't tell who's who." Like, I thought that was appropriate for what happened in Antonio Brown taking an unwarranted shot at his former teammate. But if we're looking at this from AB's perspective, I don't understand why he's still big mad about this situation. You got exactly what you wanted. You're out of Pittsburgh. You got traded to the
Oakland. You got your money.
You got traded to the Oakland Raiders. You got your $30 million guaranteed on the contract restructure. So what is there to be upset about? You didn't want to play with Ben Roethlisberger anymore. You didn't show up week 17 to play for your teammates while you still had an opportunity to qualify for the playoffs. So I don't get why you're still upset. And then to take a shot at a young player who's an ascending player in our league, Juju Smith-Schuster, over 100 catches last year, 1,400 yards, going into year 3. Like, there's a lot to like with Juju Smith-Schuster. And he was in a situation late in last season in that game in New Orleans, the last drive of the game where he fumbled it away. You saw how sincere and how contrite he was with that mistake and how he said that he would be better. He vowed to be better. Like, I don't understand why you would take this opportunity to take a shot on a former teammate just because you want to respond to a troll on the internet because you're sensitive. Like, I don't get that. Like, he's in his feelings. That's real Drake-ish of Antonio Brown to come out there and do that.
And it's so hypocritical because, let's be honest, AB is mad because Juju defended Ben, right? Juju came out and posted on social media, Ben's a great teammate, great leader. Guess who used to always defend Ben Roethlisberger?
But Juju had to do that.
Of course. But guess who also used to do that? Antonio Brown. When he felt the same way he feels about him now, but when he was trying to get paid, or when he was trying to get touches, or he was trying to get targets, or he was trying to keep things happy-ish in the locker room, he said the exact same things about Ben positively. "Oh, that's my guy. I got a picture of him in my locker. We got a great relationship." And then he leaves, and now he can say how he really feels. Juju hadn't been paid yet. Juju's still in that locker room. The team is clearly all in on Ben Roethlisberger. So what do you expect Juju to do? But I have the same question as you. Why are you mad, man? You got everything you wanted. You got your money. You're out of there. Juju didn't treat you wrong. Juju hasn't publicly gone against you. This wasn't a situation that Le'Veon Bell dealt with where the offensive lineman publicly undercut him and you have reason for bitterness. And Juju was not, it wasn't even like Juju responded to a fan saying, oh, I won team MVP. Some random Steeler fan reminds Antonio Brown that Juju won team MVP. And so he napalms
set him off.
It's just totally unnecessary from a guy who continues to damage his public standing, I think, in the eyes of the vast majority of football fans.
But you can't be surprised by his reaction because Juju and AB are both consumed by social media. And if you're consumed by social media, you'll find yourself in your mentions, in trying to make a comment to try to justify. Well, Juju was the MVP. The fan didn't lie, but you had to be able to come back at him this way. Juju did make a huge mistake in that game. That wasn't their whole season. They've had a number of missed kicks, late drives. They couldn't stop anyone. Their offense couldn't score late in games. Like, they had a number of reasons why they didn't make the playoffs. But for me, what I've learned in life is people who are unhappy, they're unhappy regardless of what their contract situation is, regardless of what their money situation. They're miserable people. And they try to make other people get involved in their misery because they're not happy with their life. AB should be happy. But let me tell you what he's not happy about. He's with the Raiders. They do got a brand, but they not the Pittsburgh Steelers. When you go on the road and they got 30,000, man, I went to a Super Bowl game in Detroit. It was ridiculous. I was like, did they move? I mean, they are the best following in the NFL. Jersey sales, the stuff that they buy, how they support the players. Man, the legendary Pittsburgh Steelers, they live off of autograph sessions for the last 30 years. So you're not going to be playing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The facilities are not the same. They're not going to be playing in prime time. So for a guy who's in his third year in Juju, who had the mic drop with his comments, I'm jealous of him because he's there and I'm out here, even though he's got the money. So to me, what I found out, man, people who aren't happy, man, they'd love to be able to drag other people down, and it has nothing to do with their job and or how much money they're making. They're just miserable people.
You know, this was going to be the inevitable reality once you decided to take the position that you did at the end of the season and force your way out of Pittsburgh. Like, you knew you weren't going to be a part of the Pittsburgh Steelers organization moving forward. So why would you be upset now that you're no longer there? That's the part of it that doesn't make sense to me. If you don't want to play, if you don't want to play with Ben Roethlisberger anymore, fine. I get it. I understand that Big Ben has some fault in this whole situation as well, but there's no reason to air your grievances on social media, especially when you're telling the fan that tweeted at you, keep your emotions off the internet. The decision to attack Juju Smith-Schester was an emotional decision by Antonio Brown because there's no rationale behind it.
Kenny, did this change how you feel about what went down towards the end in Pittsburgh between Big Ben and Antonio Brown? Or throw Mike Tomlin in if you want.
No, this doesn't change how I feel about it. I mean, I think that ultimately it's the responsibility of the people within the organization to make sure that it doesn't come to this. And I think that there's a lot of blame to go around. Cece, I know you've been critical of Mike Tomlin, and rightfully so. He's the head coach, but also their general manager, Kevin Colbert, because he set the stage for Ben Roethlisberger to be empowered the way that he is. And when Roethlisberger has done the things that he's done, clearly not being committed to the organization, flirting with retirement, not wanting to have competition at his position, not working the hardest in the offseason, I think that it doesn't necessarily set the stage or set the standard for everybody else to live up to in that locker room. So, yeah, there's some fault for Ben Roethlisberger, and then the fact that he's taking shots publicly on teammates, especially Antonio Brown. I think that he has a part to play in all of this, but it makes it harder to defend Antonio Brown.
Of course, and the element of, like, I totally understand the idea that he's disappointed or that he now realizes grass isn't always greener. There was a lot of built-in advantages to being a Steeler. But how outrageous would it have been if Anthony Davis had been traded? And then all of a sudden he's like, man, I miss those days as a Pelicans. Like, yo, bro, you demanded out. The Steelers, the owner of the Steelers met with AB to try on his terms, came to him in Florida to try to resolve this. Antonio had so many exit ramps to maintain a Pittsburgh Steeler, forced his way out. The Steelers had to sell on him 30 cents on the dollar. And he's the one that's bitter. He's the one taking shots, not even to mention the part that you've discussed before, see, with other players, which is the responsibility of the veterans to leave a legacy for the younger guys.
The reason why the league's been great for 99 years, approaching the 100th season, is the legacy that the older players are going to take care of the younger players.
And didn't AB have experience with that at his position
in Pittsburgh? Hines Ward, Jerome Bettis, man, they showed him the lay of the land, got him paid, got him up to speed. Yes, of course.
And
but
no
he
paying
forgot
it
that.
forward. It's ridiculous.
Acting like a Raider now.
Kenny, thanks for joining us today.
Great
Thanks
job.
for everything.
Appreciate you.
I appreciate the gifts, though, man, too.
Take a break. Coming up, how can LeBron recruit another superstar to join
Really?
the Lakers?
That's what we doing?
Next on First Things First.
That's funny. That's
I'm
funny.
just curious.